Mic check, mic check. This is the Mac Daddy. 1, 2. Thank you. Okay, 1, 2.
Hello everybody and welcome to Letterboxd Book Club. My name is Claire.
And I'm Mackenzie.
And today we will be discussing The Night Circus by
Erin Morgenstern.
I thought it was Morgenstern.
Morgenstern.
Yeah, there's no I. Or is this the Mandela effect?
No, there's no I. I'm just an idiot. There's no I in team except for the I'm an idiot.
Yes, I love that. I'm going to use that.
Okay.
Whenever the opportunity arises. We're discussing this book because if our calculations are correct, tomorrow would be my birthday, and this is my birthday, recommendation.
Happy birthday, Claire.
Oh, thank you. And then in December, Kenzie will have the same respect.
Woohoo. Let's hold
a few months
on
away.
The respect part.
The respect.
Alright.
Alrighty, Kenzie, kick us off with the blurb, please.
I will. The circus arrives without warning. No announcements precede it. It is simply there when yesterday it was not. Within the black and white striped canvas tent is an utterly unique experience full of breathtaking amazements. It is called Le Cirque de Rêves, which I'm probably not pronouncing correctly, but that is okay. And it is only open at night. But behind the scenes, a fierce competition is underway, a duel between two young magicians, Celia and Marco, who have been trained since childhood expressly for this purpose by their mercurial instructors. Unbeknownst to them, this is a game in which only one can be left standing, and the circus is but the stage for a remarkable battle of imagination and will. Despite themselves, however, Celia and Marco tumble headfirst into love, a deep, magical love that makes the lights flicker and the room grow warm whenever they so much as brush hands. True love or not, the game must play out, and the fates of everyone involved, from the cast of extraordinary circus performance to the patrons, hang in the balance, suspended as precariously as the daring acrobats overhead.
Love that. And just before we continue, I got Google Translate to come in clutch for us.
Oh, cool.
Le Cirque des Rêves.
Le Cirque des Rêves. I was right.
The Circus of Dreams.
Yeah.
There's a lot of French words in this book as well, and I don't really know French, nor do I know how to pronounce anything. So, like...
Does your brain just go, shoop-de-doop-doop?
Yeah, I just acknowledge it as is. Or I just say it like, Le Cirque des Rêves, as you just said. But, yeah, there's a lot of French words and, like, French names, and, like, yeah, they were just words to me that I acknowledged.
Speaking of dreams, would you like me to include my revelation, my 2 a.m. revelation, in the podcast, or do you want me to save it for afterwards?
How bizarre or embarrassed are you going to feel after when you say it?
I don't care, it's hilarious.
Then just say it. Alright,
Okay.
Quick book pause. Kenzie had an epiphany, apparently.
So, I had an epiphany last night. So, as you all know, I am pregante with child, and this can cause you to have really weird dreams. Anyway, last night I had a really weird dream, and I woke up and I was like, I need to tell Claire. Anyway, so my revelation was this. In Disney movies, there are always 5 pivotal characters in each story.
Okay, I'm with you.
Okay. And so in my head, I was like, all right, Lilo and Stitch. It's Lilo, Stitch, the 2 aliens, and then, like, Nani, or whatever her name is.
Like a miscellaneous side character.
Yeah. And then I was like, all right, Pocahontas, John Smith, that redhead guy, and then the 2 little sidekicks.
Critters, like, the raccoon.
Yeah. And then I was doing heaps. I was like, what's another one I was doing? I did something. Anyway, there was always just like 5 characters, and I was like, yeah, I've like busted Disney's ass, but like theoretically, like.
No, I've noticed that too. Especially like Disney shows.
Yes!
Like Zack and Cody, you got Zack and Cody, Zack and Cody, and like Sweet Life on Deck, you got Zack and Cody, and then you got like, Ashley Tisdale's character, Brenda Song's character, and then Mr. Moseby. And then yeah, you could take any Disney movie, it's like 5 main characters.
The Hannah Montana show, it's Miley, Lily, their friend Oliver, whatever the name is, the
Jackson.
brother, and then the dad.
Yeah. No, I get that. I understand that. It's like a pattern. It's like a structure.
Yeah, but I was like, I didn't know why I was like thinking of that, but I was like, I thought, like, I woke up and I was like, this is a gold mine. I was like, I've done it.
Yeah, no. I've noticed that and recognized that, like, years ago, not
Oh,
twice.
cool.
But
Oh,
anyway,
okay.
I've never said it out loud. But no, I agree with you, Kenzie. Yes.
Okay, cool. So if anyone else feels like that, leave a comment.
It's just something about like a good structure or a good formula.
Yeah.
But no, I get that.
Anyway.
Like even Wizards of Waverly Place, like their entire family.
Yeah.
And then, or maybe like Harper more so than one of the parents. But yeah, we get it. Back to the book. Unpause. Thoughts, feelings, and emotions, Kenzie.
Because it's your birthday.
I'm scared. No, Kenzie, don't start with that.
I feel really mean. And now I feel like I need to pick a shit book for my birthday so that we can both shit on it together. Anyway, I really did not enjoy this book.
Fair enough.
It was a hard slog. I nearly DNF'd it a couple of times. I have 6 pages of notes. But yeah, it's fine.
It's fine.
Yeah.
That's
You
all right.
tell me what you thought.
I'm scared now. I do agree it was a slog, but I did enjoy it in the end. What might be like unattractive about it, which I find really great, was like the sense of disjointedness throughout the book and the pacing. But it's not disjointed in the sense of between past, present, and future, just disjointed between the like character perspectives and perspectives on events. And I can see how some people might not like that or find that really confusing. But like I enjoyed it. I do admit that some characters that we meet like in the beginning or even in the middle, they become kind of significant at the end, and it's like, well, I didn't really care about you in the beginning, so why are you so important now?
And then also, yeah, like I'd forget about them and I'd be like, who is this person? And
Like, for example, like Bailey, like his whole little spiel in the beginning, I'm like, I don't care, so I'm going to skim through you. And then, yeah, he obviously becomes significant in the end. And Tsukiko, I think that's how you say it. Yeah, like, especially like she, like I thought she was just going to be just some sort of obviously performer, but then she had a more significant role in the end.
I feel like there was also like too many characters for the story that was trying to be told as well. And then also like with the twins, I like understood their significance, but then it was like when one like is born after midnight and can see the future, and one is born before midnight, you're like, okay, well, like you can see the past. Like it's pretty like black and white stock stand. It's like, oh, okay, that's their power.
But yeah, I thought it was still quite charming and enchanting. There wasn't much of the love story blossoming. It's just like it just happens, and then but there is parts where like it does time skip like 10 years ahead, 30 years ahead, but it's all cohesive and in chronological order.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is no real relationship development as such between our two main characters. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed that disjointed aspects of it. There are some perspectives where I don't really care about. I enjoyed the unraveling of the twists and turns and the information and stuff about the circus and how it's controlled and manipulated, and just how everyone plays their little part in it as well. Like, I enjoyed it overall. I agree it's a slog.
Yeah. I did enjoy the like aspect of it, and I did tell you that it reminded me very much of like Miss Peregrine's School for Peculiar Children, like in that everyone has like their own sort of power thing, their own speciality, and they're kind of stuck in this not really, like, I'm going to call it a time loop thing, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, like they're stuck in this circus loop. Yeah, I liked that aspect of it, but yeah, the time jumps didn't really make a lot of sense to me, because you don't, like, yeah, it's like the 10, the 30 years or whatever, but then like nothing's really explained about what happens in that time. It's like, oh, okay, let's just skip ahead for shits and gigs.
No, nothing's significantly changed. The circus is still around, but they're just in different eras, and like obviously different, I suppose, other events are happening within that time.
Yeah.
It just becomes like a mundanity, ever revolving of the same thing. But no, yeah, ultimately, yeah, I liked the unraveling and like little bits of information, and we learned about like Alexander's past students / winners and all that stuff. And there were moments where I liked where the chapter is written in second point of view. So like you walk in, you see this, you do that. In those chapters, I thought it led us to like the final catalyst or like a final performance, but it's just us, the readers, embracing the circus as to how it was ended and how it still is.
I think this was part of it for me, especially about like, the story just felt so disjointed.
Yeah. like I kind of liked that aspect, and I can see why you're disappointed in that.
Yeah, I was just like, give me some succinct timeline. Like,
give me chronological order. Everything happens. Just tell me everything.
Yeah. Let's talk the main characters, I guess. Celia and Mako.
Initial thoughts about them. What do you think? Two different schools of magic.
Raised, in juxtaposing training worlds, I guess.
And just livelihoods.
Yeah, and livelihoods. That's the word I was looking for, sorry. And just that, I was saying that I enjoyed that part of it where it was your fate is chosen for you. Like, you don't have control of your life, per se, because they were just, like, put into this competition without even knowing that they're in this competition. But yeah, like, Celia is, like, raised and trained, by Hector, etc. And then Mako is an orphan.
The orphan just cuts it, you know?
Yeah, that's all you need
to works.
Know. And it's like, I did have as well, though, but I'll wait.
Oh, no. I think this, much like the book, I think this podcast might be disjointed in how we talk about it, so just go for it.
I think I just need to look in
match
my
the energy.
Notes. So in the end, Celia is able to do this magic that her father wasn't able to do, that ultimately turned him into ghostly figure.
Essentially, like an apparition.
Yeah, like an apparition. Like, I don't really understand it, but that's fine. And so, it essentially shows that she has become a better magician than her father. And then I think that lends into the school of thought that you can have control of your destiny and you can control which way your life goes. It's just about having the right mechanisms to get there.
Sure, and considering that the whole point of this book or this competition was for one of them to die, they've definitely dodged the destiny bullet for sure. Yeah,
so the story ultimately is about love and power and what happens when love and power come together, and what happens when a person is forced to choose between the two, and how an outside world cannot remain unaffected in a story where two people essentially must fight to the death, but then fall in love, and what's that then means for their sacrifices, and who is going to fall and who's going to stay, and like, do you take a side or...
And then you just become that miscellaneous side character at the end that just facilitates everything and, like, no consequence.
Yeah.
Easy peasy. It's like, it was that easy from the beginning.
Yeah. I didn't like how... I liked how, in the end, Bailey is given that choice of, like, do you want to do this? Because that gives him the autonomy that Celia and Mako weren't given. But then I feel like at the end of the day, it's like this circus should not continue. Like, let these people go.
Yeah, like, for sure. I agree with that. I was a little bit kind of angry at the end because it's really selfish to keep holding on to that. And it's like, sure, the circus, it created its own, like, literal fan base and stuff, and, like, it brings people joy and wonder and amusement. But yeah, it's pretty selfish to be tied to it forever and have this random kid who you've just, well, I suppose they've kind of decided who is going to run the joint anyway.
I know, and then I felt like it wasn't really succinctly written who Bailey was. Like, it's just like a kid, who likes the circus, but then, like, he didn't really, and then falls in love, but then it didn't really, I don't know, have significance in the story overall. I don't know if maybe, like, he's meant to represent the reader, and then it's like, well, we want the circus to continue because we like the story, or like...
I think maybe it's just because he was so tied with the two decisions of either going to Harvard or, like, running the family farm, that, like, the circus was the other option, and
it's like, how about genuine. I take neither option?
yeah, I know, but, like, neither option would still end up being at the farm, I suppose.
Yeah,
it was always going to be a wrong choice. But I think he just found that, like, wonder and amusement, and his first interaction with, like, Poppet, it kind of ignited something in him, I guess, and then then it just became his destiny to hold on to it forever. But yeah, ultimately, the circus should have just been let go. Like, let your legacy die gracefully as well.
Yeah, because also then, because we're stuck in this night circus world or whatever, I didn't quite understand. I was like, are you guys immortal? Or, like, do you just exist within the confines of the circus? Or, like...
Well, yeah, well, it's all controlled. That aspect is controlled by Marco.
Yeah.
Like, his power through the bonfire is making everyone age incredibly slowly. And that in
And then
itself...
because I know when, like, he fucks it up, like, it all starts to kind of crumble.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's like, yeah, I feel like at that point, like, yeah, make that decision to just be like, okay, we're gonna die. We've been doing this long enough.
Probably not necessarily die, but, like, you know, in any sort of media story where, I don't know, someone is holding... There's, like, a life force that they're holding on to, and when that breaks, you know, they all shrivel up and die. Like, yeah, I don't think that would happen, but, yeah. It was frustrating to see that, like, yeah, it was set up to ultimately be a game or a competition between Marco and Celia, and then all these people were inadvertently involved, and, like, all their minds are being manipulated against their will and all that type of stuff. It just seemed really, like, what was the point?
Yeah.
And, like, yeah, it just wasn't really fair to them either. And, like, you can recognise that as you're reading it. Like, yeah, it's just so not fair that these people have to suffer through Celia and Marco's actions, but also it's Mr. A's actions and Hector's actions.
Yeah, they're conspirators.
But yeah, and I did get a little bit confused reading it as well. It's like a very sophisticated and, like, profound book as well.
Yeah.
But I suppose I liked the whole unravelling things, because you would wonder, all right, well, how did the circus travel? Oh, it travelled by train. Cool. And then later on you learn that Celia is the one who controls the train. And then it's like, when you start to realise that the other circus performers are, like, in a way trapped but not entirely stuck as well. And you think, all right, well, how is that possible? And then you learn that, Marco controls that sort of aspect as well.
I have this written down as well where, yeah, it again lending into the disjointedness, you are given information like, oh, it travels, like, for example, that's the best one probably. How does it travel? It travels on a train. Okay, blah, 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 blah. A little bit later, okay, Celia controls that. And then I feel like I was just being told a lot of information and not shown a lot of information. And it just really took me back to that high school, like, show, don't tell in your essay vibes.
Yeah, probably more so for Celia, not so much for Marco, because you get a lot of examples or evidence of Marco manipulating someone's memory then and there during his conversations with people. But yeah, you don't necessarily see Celia pack pack everything up and, like... Or there probably was a scene where, like, the train stops and, like, just the canvas and the roofs just, like, flutter open and all that type of stuff. But then there's a scene where they're actually on the train moving, and it's like, what? But yeah, no, very interesting. I also really enjoyed, but feel free to circle back to this if you have something more to say. I enjoyed that it's a book about sort of like musicians or people with these magical talents, and they're trying to just hide it or disguise it within the modern world.
Yeah.
And there's just a lot of emphasis on dialogues and themes of people will see what they want to see and believe what they want to believe. And some people, like, don't care how things happen. They just like the journey or the emotion that comes from it. Just like with the clockmaker guy. I think,
yeah, Mr. What's his face? Yes, Frederick Thiessen.
Yeah, like, because he adored, like, Celia, but he would never ask how she did her magic or if the magic was actually real and all that stuff. He just loved the wonderment of it.
Yeah,
and
the one stra.
Yeah, the clock. The clock man.
I have it written down, but I don't know how to pronounce it, so I just said the wunch.
Yeah, I just liked, ultimately, it's a magical world where all the magicians or the real talented people are just, like, you know, guising or hiding their actual magical talents from the eyes of the public. And I thought that was, like, great and really subtle. Which also, ultimately, I liked the contrast between, Marco and Celia's systems as well, because Marco is all about the charming and the spell binding to his books and his, like, physical objects and charms. And then, Celia is able to manipulate the elements around her and create illusions as well. But I enjoyed those aspects. I was really annoyed early on when we found out that Marco figured out she was his opponent, because I felt like, well, how is this fair that he gets to have this sort of upper hand knowledge? And it took Celia a long time for her to figure that out.
Yeah, didn't enjoy that it had to be a competition.
Yeah, no,
I just, like, why couldn't they have just, I mean, I guess conflict in stories and blah, and I always, like, I feel like in every book, I'm like, I don't understand why it had to be this, but it's pivotal to the plot. It's like, we wouldn't have the plot without it. But it's like, why couldn't they have just realised, okay, these two have complementary magic, let's just, like, lay it out for them and explain it, and then somehow like figure out a way for them to be able to do this together. But then of course they were like, ooh, competition, blah blah blah.
And I suppose, yeah, you learn at the very end when Mr. A or Mr. Alexander was talking to Widget, it's like, oh, it just came down to, you know, he had a very stubborn student, Celia's father, and they just had very differing beliefs and systems on magic and which system is far superior in terms of endurance and skill and blah blah blah. And it just turned into, I suppose, just an ego pissing contest.
Yeah, of course.
Which suffered real life consequences because magicians actually died for this shit.
Exactly. Like, I said, what did I have? I had something. Oh yeah, again with this, I just don't feel like Celia and Marco. I was going to say Margot.
Hey, Barbie.
Yeah, their love story. Like, I don't know how this was marketed as a love story, because I feel like it doesn't happen right until the end, like, I don't know, 100 pages from the end. Yeah, like you were saying, it just comes kind of out of nowhere. And it's just like, suddenly, ooh, I love you. And like, yes, it's beautifully written, and like, I love the way that Marco feels for Celia, and like, that's beautifully written. But I just, like, I feel like it should have been, I don't know, marketed as a mystery or something with like... Sure. Love on the side or whatever, like how we were saying, you know, these days in books, especially on Book Talk, when they're advertised, like they're promoting books, and it's like enemies to lovers, like blah blah blah, and it's like, don't tell me, like just let me read it.
Yeah, it's just tropes galore.
Yeah.
And then where's the surprise as well, because you want to figure that shit out. Yeah, and I felt like Marco's love for Celia was written, or it was more highlighted than Celia's love for Marco.
Yeah, it leads me to wonder if, you know, the final draft was taken in to the editors, and then they're like, we need a love story, like, it doesn't make sense, like, and then so she was like, okay.
I mean, it could have just been, just 2 challenges without the love implication of it. And then, there was ultimately no real consequence to their love anyway, in terms of the circus. I don't know, and I think maybe it's just because of the juxtaposition, or the difference between their schools of magic and stuff. I just found that, like, when reading it, I felt like Celia worked harder than Marco, despite Marco not being completely involved in the circus, and yet there were moments where he thought, like, he was winning and, like, she was winning. I don't know, but I suppose that's up for the reader to kind of think about, or to ascertain a winner in that sense. But it just seems so different. Then... Oh, also... I know what I was going to say before, but sorry. You can go ahead.
I was just going to say, is that also... not just then lending to just her being female.
Yeah, like she has to bend over backwards and he gets to just be there.
Yeah.
And he's she's gorgeous. She's gorgeous.
Yeah.
And he's there.
And he's there.
Yeah. Oh, and I was going to say before, I don't think Celia and Marco's love story was like believable.
Yeah.
In a way. And also, but there were subtleties obviously leading to it, because obviously the blurb explains, like, you know, 2 lovers engage in battle or whatever. And then you get, you know, interactions with Isabel, who's a fortune teller, and like a few times she would pull a card for Marco, and it would be like a lover's card, and like she recognized then and there, like, alright, it's not for her, it's for Celia or for somebody else. And then just like everyone else pitching in about how they knew, like other circus performers are like, they knew about the game in a way without being explicitly told. But I suppose Tsukiko, it's different because she was a past winner and she could probably recognize it. But like with, I suppose, and Isabel was told, but then like Mr. Barris, him knowing about it in a way, and then
it was almost like it just came across as everyone knew about it except Celia and Marco. And so again, that thing, downfall of why couldn't we have just explained it to them and then gone about it in a different way.
And there are rules to this game, allegedly. Like there's no interference, they're not allowed to work with each other. It's not like a battle or a duel, magic duel or anything, but it's just like who can sustain the magic, I suppose, the longest, and all that type of stuff, because it's not about the performance at all or anything itself. Or like, even Hector was like, it's not about how many rooms you make, it's about how long you can hold on for. Yeah. And I suppose, how can you compare that sort of stamina to someone who just writes in a book?
Yeah, exactly.
And just keeps the book well hidden and not destroyed, you know?
What was I going to say? And then, it's not about how many rooms you make or how cool it is or whatever. But then when they were using, what is it, the tent of the labyrinth, and then showing their
It's a
like
collaboration.
complementary magics and their collaborations together. And I was like, see, that's what it could be. Like,
And then you can just have a magical circus that everyone profits from.
yeah.
No one has
and then
to die.
because you would think as well that if they're destined to duel and only one can win or whatever, it's like you wouldn't think that their magics would be complementary.
Yeah, no.
But that's just me.
And I just didn't appreciate the vaguity when Marco confronts Alexander and or when Celia confronts her father. Because, like, they can be as like vague to the characters as they want, but I'm the reader. I'm dumb. Like, you gotta tell me what the rules are. Let me know what's going on, and I'm happy for the characters to, like, figure everything out on their own.
Literally, spell it out. Like,
Yeah, spell it out for me, but yeah, keep the characters in the dark. And then, it just took Celia longer to figure everything out as well. And I just thought Marco had that advantage in terms of him knowing who she was before she knew who he was. And then I found when he would approach her to try and have a chat and stuff, and obviously that's when kind of like maybe his infatuation with her starts to blossom. You think, oh, well, could this be a trap because he knows that she's his opponent and like he's only doing this in order to, I don't know, find a way to destroy her in a way. So it comes across as ingenuine in that sense.
yeah.
And then poor Isabel in the crossfire.
Yeah.
She just wants to love a guy.
I know, like, she's just been scorned.
Yeah. But then we learn that, I think it would have been her, but after when Isabel, like, blows the crystals or whatever in Marco's face, and Tsukiko talks to Marco, she kind of implied that Isabel was a past student as well. Unless you missed that. I don't know. I could be very wrong.
I may have missed that. No, I think I missed that.
It was almost like when, like, it was just after revealed that Tsukiko was like a past student, and then it's like, oh, we both were. And so, but that just went. Then it just seems like it's too much though it may not be direct interference. It's just too much meddling.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed the kind of first half where it was like how the circus was established, the learnings and teachings of Celia and Marco growing up. Like, I found that quite nice. But then, it got to a point where I was like, all right, when are we getting to this duel or battle or whatever?
Yeah,
that's what I thought it was going to be.
That's another thing that I have in my notes, that as much as it feels like a disjointed story, there is a lot going on. And I did enjoy that the story was enthralling and I wanted to know what was happening and when it was ending. But then, you have in the forefront of your mind the whole time, like, okay, well, I know that the duel is coming. I know that something is coming. When is that coming? And just every time you think it's getting to the end, it does not arrive.
When you think it's getting to the end, you get Bailey's useless chapter, and you're like, fuck off.
Yeah, and it's not a big book.
No, it's not.
So it's just one of those things that's like, this is annoying.
Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah, but I liked that almost half the book is the build-up and, like, how it was made and how Marco and Celia, become involved. Celia auditioning, Marco being the assistant to Chandresh, who pretty much, it was his idea to start the circus. I was actually really upset when it figured out that Marco was really manipulating Chandresh's mind and memory and stuff, because he's just the proprietor at the end of the day. Like, he doesn't need to know the goings on, and he himself is a magician in his own right. And it's like everyone else seemed to be highlighted but him in a way, which I found that quite upsetting. And then the poor guy, he killed a man for essentially no reason out of his own conspiracy.
This is why as well, I just didn't understand why in the end Bailey would want to become the proprietor.
I don't know, keep the
dream alive. And I just
alive.
didn't understand where the circus went from there.
Yeah, I agree. Just, like, let the legacy die gracefully.
And then because there's, like, emphasis on how, because the circus has continued or whatever, like, they can continue on the legacy of Marco and Celia. And it's like, okay, but it wasn't, like, their love or whatever. But it wasn't about their love.
No.
I don't know, like...
Yeah, no, it wasn't their love that drove the circus. It was their, obviously initial competition with each other that made the circus so great.
About the competition and
the rivalry.
Again, now that there's no competition, I just don't see, I just don't see where it goes from there.
Yeah, and then it's like, what happens to the rest of the folks? Are they're just stuck there forever now? But maybe I would like to imagine Bailey would approach them with a similar choice that Celia and Marco offered him, like, all right, well, this is what's happened. Assuming he tells everybody the truth, because no one tells anybody the fucking truth.
I know.
And then he would offer them that choice of like, all right, you know all this, would you want to stay and perform for like the rest of your life?
Yeah.
Probably not rest of your life, but yeah, if Poppet and Widget are anything to go by, like they can find other magicians or just breed them, you know?
Breed them.
Never-ending circus.
Jesus Christ.
Yup, we're going there.
Claire's taken it to a new level.
Yeah. But, you know, I loved the details, but the details could have been so overwhelming, like when they went into each room, and then you'd find out later on, oh, Celia built that, or Marco built that.
Yeah, it's like, why delay the information?
I think it's just that air of mystery and just the, like, slowly unraveling it as it goes. But yeah, I still quite enjoyed that, but yeah, all the rooms, like, it was just skimming, bro.
I know, it got to a point where I was like, I can't DNF this, but also I don't want to finish it, and so there was a lot of skimming involved, but...
Yeah, fair enough.
I almost wish that there was a sequel.
Alright, what would be the sequel?
It would just be that the circus ended.
Just first page.
Yeah, like, I don't know, like, I think I'd like to see something about how they've repaired, I don't know, like, how, I guess, like, at the end, like, it wasn't about the competition or whatever, but, like, they've healed from that, and, I don't know, maybe I would like to see a few people leave, like, maybe the twins.
Right, because, yeah, the whole circus did come from, like, a nefarious intention.
And I would like it to be, like, Bailey has, like, aged, obviously, slowly, but, like, gotten to, like, a nice old age or whatever.
Or maybe starts his own circus.
Yeah, and either starts his own or has decided, he's like, okay, this is where I'm at, like, I feel this way, blah, blah, blah. At this point, would we all like to continue? Or, like, Bailey could be like, I'm stepping away. Where do we go from here?
Or it even could have been, like, in the end, there could be, like, a couple-page epilogue. Be like, 60 years from now, the circus just never showed up again.
Yeah.
Like, that could be a thing.
Yeah.
To end it all.
It could have been, yeah, like, I don't know, like a person who, I don't know, Bailey 2.0 or whatever, saying, yeah, oh, every year, like, the circus, or, like, every 5 years the circus comes here or whatever, but then on that, like, time it hit the time it was meant to be, that, like, it didn't come.
Or they have contacts, essentially, in that fan base, and they could just, you know, spread word through the fan base that, like, it's just stopped or it's just never appeared again.
Yeah. It's like, time to start your own, guys.
I liked, yeah, the magical aspect of it and everything. I did like how it seemed like there was, well, through other character perspectives, there was this, like, big conspiracy and stuff. Like, because you get the Burgess sisters and all that, and their little conflicts and their stories and stuff, and how Tara died because she realized that, like, something, like, is going on, and she feels stuck, but, yeah, not quite stuck or trapped or anything. But then, yeah, the ultimate consequence was death. And they're like, ultimately, that's on Marco.
But let's just gloss over
it. Oh, but yeah, he acknowledges it, though, to Celia. Because, like, the bonfire is there to protect everyone within the circus. And she wasn't quite in the circus, but not quite a patron either. So it was just very awkward. But yeah. And then when Isabel broke her little charm and that ultimately got Thierson killed, it's like, too much death already.
I also don't know what genre this falls under, because it's like,
I'd say fantasy.
Yeah, like, it's mystery but also fantasy, but, like, I don't know, it's just, I guess it's just the genre of fantasy that we read, because when I think about fantasy, I think about, like, fairies.
yeah. Think about how the Barbie movie has been described as a fantasy, and, like, you look at it and it's like a modern world story, like, how could that be fantasy? But yeah, you can think of it like that, or like alternate universe or whatever, fantasy AU. Anything else you want to, like, kind of talk about?
I think I got all my notes out of the way without destroying you too much. I apologise.
Yeah, I suppose I liked throughout the book how, you know, we get hints of, obviously, through Isabel and her fortune telling, and Poppet's, I suppose, premonitions or seeing into the future, that we get the build up to the outcome of, like, the little explosion and stuff, and then it actually happening. Like, I liked that aspect. Because I suppose that even though their destiny was one of them to die, like, there was, I suppose, death that fulfilled it anyway.
Yeah, I liked that because, it wasn't explicitly one of you has to die. It was just, like, death in general, yeah.
But I suppose with that, and if the circus was the venue for this contest, then the venue itself should have, like, burned to the ground in a very symbolic way.
I was thinking to myself as well earlier, I was like, I haven't pooped today. I was like, I bet I'm going to have to poop at the most inconvenient time.
You just manifested that for yourself.
Yeah, I was like, it's either going to be like right at the end of podcast or right in the middle. Anyway, okay, I have something else that I wanted to bring up. I think that this is always going to happen now, where we are a few years off 30.
Oh, don't say that.
And we
the books are made for us.
Yeah, we are used to reading new adult books, and this is very much a young adult book, and so yeah, I think it's just not made for us. And like you just said, it's
This competition was had been held for like 30 odd years, so there's the gradual upbringing though. I would hardly all right, Miss Skimmer flew over your head.
W. But yeah, I just don't think that this book is written for our age demographic.
And so I disagree, but okay.
Yeah, that made me struggle more as well.
Fair enough. But yeah, it was just a lot of like writing aspects to it. Again, disjointed perspectives. We got a whole timeline, which I didn't really care about. And then we get every now and then a second perspective chapter about us, the reader. And yeah, I can understand, that disjointedness can make it very unappealing. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like this book could make a pretty good movie.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
In my mind. It could be as, incredibly spectacular and stuff. Or not a TV show, but yeah, definitely a movie. Like, it would be very good it'd translate well in a cinematic.
Yeah, 100%. I think that it lends itself to, be translated very well to a silver screen. But I just don't think it reads well.
yeah, fair enough. I think there's a huge theme in this book, which is more of a revelation towards the end. Just like the theme of timing, because that gets brought up a little bit towards the end. Like, I think Isabel said that the day she met Marco, she was late for her train, and then Bailey was late to the circus in order to save it, in a way. And I don't know, that just had like a little bit of profound meaning and significance. Yeah, and considering there's a lot of moments in this book where aspects of the circus seems to be like frozen in time in itself. And like performers who have died or passed away, like they're almost immortalized through this really slow moving statues.
Yes.
I felt it was pretty cool. And then, when it was in the second perspective or second point of view chapters, and like you'd read, you'd viewed an illusionist, or maybe it was Bailey. Like there was an illusionist performance, and then there was a statue that read. It implied that statue was Celia in a way. Like, it was pretty cool. And then that's when you thought, oh well, she died. But then in the end, the more it goes on, you think, oh well, then Marco must have died, and she must have died of old age or something. But no, it never occurred to me that both of them would have died. But they broke the curse regardless.
Good on them.
Alrighty, I don't really know what else to say. I think we've expressed it well. Not a lot of plot stuff, which is good. Alright, we're going to go to the stars that listen. We read a 1-star review and a 5-star review from Goodreads for shits and gigs. Start off the one review first because we want to end on a positive notey.
You go first, just because I just put a toffee in my mouth.
Alright, let me grab it. Alright, my 1-star review. Well, I gave it 40% before giving up. Uninteresting characters and a plotting storyline do not a good read make. Okay. The one thing this novel has going for it is its atmosphere. And it is as it in spades. That's what it says. Unfortunately, the build-up that I was so excited about early on hasn't really led to something I care about. It's probably accurate to say that the most interesting character in this novel is the circus itself, and that just isn't enough for me. Yeah, the circus had a lot of personality. Almost had an aneurysm reading that, but alright.
My 1-star is nothing happened in this book. You know when you start reading and the writing is magical and you feel like you're in a fairy tale because the author's sentences flow like flower petals in the wind, and then you keep on reading and reading, and the writing is still magical, but also nothing has really happened. And then you're at the end of the book where the writing is still magical, but nothing happened.
Yeah. Ultimately, the ultimate sacrifice for them both being tied to the circus forever.
Yes. Okay.
Who would have thought? Alright, my 5-star review, although it says 5 stars, but it's written 4.5. Okay.
I think because you can't do 0.5.
Then just do 4. Oh, I suppose you got to carry it up or whatever. Anyway, I've not read anything like this before. It was magical, mysterious, and also more emotional than I was expecting. I loved it. It was such an enchanting read. I also loved the time period it was set in. I loved the Victorian era. It wasn't quite Victorian era, but sure. It ended in like 1902 or 3 or something, and like that's not Victorian.
This is like us saying medieval for fantasy though.
This is like us saying medieval, but it's 1901.
Yeah.
Like Federation formed.
I was like, why is it medieval but there's cars?
Yeah. Why is it medieval but there's actual indoor plumbing?
My 5-star is, I have quite honestly never had the pleasure of reading a more beautiful book. I want to go back to the beginning and read it all over again. I just have no words. Which I don't agree with, but good on you.
Glad you feel that way. Alrighty, and then that concludes this episode of Letterbox Book Club.
As always, thank you for listening. Find us on Instagram at letterbox_book_club. From there, our link tree is in our bio, where you'll find us in all the other places that are important. And if you're listening, leave a comment and wish Claire a happy birthday. She is turning 45. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, no. Hey, I wouldn't hear the end of it. Yeah, as you said, we're almost coming close to 30, and like my dad's fiance is constantly reminding me, and it's like so far away still, bro.
No,
she's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I don't know.
I'm always like, I'm not gonna feel old until I'm 55, but as the closer I get, like, obviously it's like 20 plus years away.
Yeah.
But it's like the closer I get, I'm just like, no, like I just keep pushing that out.
Yeah.
Anyway, yes, thank you all for listening.
Check us out next week for I don't know what, because I haven't thought that far ahead.
That's okay. We'll get there.
Maybe From Blood and Ash, the new From Blood and Ash.
Oh yes.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, sorry.
That excitement hurts my ears. All right, catch us out.
Okay.
Catch us next week.
Catch us out.
Light it up.
Bye.
Bye.